Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alana Royal, Senior Coordinator Membership with ASTA, and I will be serving as the moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few guidelines. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. To ask a question, you will use your GoToWebinar pane. Near the bottom of this pane is an area that says Questions. If you click on the arrow next to where it says Questions, it will open up a window pane. This is what you will use to communicate with us. If you are having trouble hearing the presentation, please make sure your speakers are turned on. If you called in, try hanging up and dialing back in again. You can send me any technical issue via the questions pane, and I will try to answer them. I will respond to you using that same pane. Please note that all audience members are muted. We certainly want to hear from you, but we have so many people on the call that the background noise would be prohibitive, and we want to ensure that everyone can hear the entire presentation. Lastly, please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on ASTA.org in 3 to 5 business days. Now we'll turn it over to our speaker this afternoon, Jackie Roby.
Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, pending where you are, where you're seated. I'm Jackie Roby. I am a brand ambassador for Wellness Travel University. As you know, as an ASTA member, you have the benefit of registering for Wellness Travel University complimentary. That is part of your benefits. Start by taking the Gold course. The Gold course is where you get a box of information, so much to help you support your clients. And it starts with you having the knowledge, not the knowledge that Google will tell you, because trust me, people just add wellness to their website and that isn't authentic. But to really give you the tools for what your clients need. And that adventure begins there. And so on behalf of Wellness Travel University, today we are going to talk about corporate wellness. Gone are the days of keeping business and personal separate. Because at the end of the day, the human being who walks out of the house and into the office is the same person. So wellness impacts you everywhere you go. Because we understand that you're working with corporate clients and they may not fully see and understand this, we want to make sure you have the tools to support them, to be their wellness advocate. So I am grateful to be joined by some phenomenal professionals. I'm going to go through and have them do a quick introduction, and then we'll get started so you can really take advantage of their knowledge. So I'm going to start with Roma Maxwell, the VP of Marketing and Communications at Rancho La Puerta. Alana, we might need your help unmuting.
Great. I think you can hear me now, right? Thank you so much, Jackie, for inviting me here. And I am in great company with my fellow panelists. And I'm very excited to be discussing this topic of corporate wellness and retreats here with you. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing for Rancho La Puerta. We're a wellness resort and spa that's been around for 83 years. We're known as the original fitness resort and spa in North America. And Rancho La Puerta is a kind of a classic wellness resort and destination where you come and immerse yourself in everything that has to do with mind, body, and spirit wellness. And as Jackie said, whether that's you're walking out of your office or into your office, whoever you may be, every one of us needs a place, a haven to go where you can spark that creativity, you can rest, you can be in a room where you're around other thought leaders, and where you can come back to your job, to your society, to your family, providing the best of yourself. And I can go more about who the ranch is, but I'm assuming I'll have an opportunity to do that later on. So I'll pass the baton to my fellow panelists.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rama. Next, I would love you to meet Kenya Tovar from Palmaya, House of Aya.
Thank you, everybody. It's so nice to be here. And as Jackie mentioned, I'm representing Palmaya, the House of Aya. We are a wellness resort that it's brand new 4 years ago. And the main topic that we work in our resort is that we are located at Riviera Maya, and we are dedicated to provide a serene and rejuvenating environment for our guests. We do allow them to we would like to mention this. We allow them to transcend the ordinary by connecting with nature, with their inner selves. And we do that through various houses that we call. In those houses, the guests are going to find plant-based gastronomy, frequencies, sound frequencies, rituals, and practices that will enhance the personal growth of each people. Talking about corporates, we do have a space for incentive groups, incentive groups that can come to our property and can connect with each other as a team, but also to connect with themselves to make a good synergy in the company at the end of the day. So I
Amazing.
go back to you.
Thank you, Kenya, so much. Next, we have Charlene Tierney from Canyon Ranch.
I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me? Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you to my fellow panelists. As Jackie mentioned, my name is Charlene Tierney. I'm Director of Business Development and Corporate Performance for Canyon Ranch. We are a wellness-guided resort company with destinations in the Berkshires and Lenox, Massachusetts, in the desert in Tucson, Arizona, and in the Redwoods in Woodside, California. I think what makes us a little unique is that we're guided through physicians and licensed practitioners and therapists, dietitians, all that fall under our experts to guide you while you're there, but also providing you the tools and techniques when you leave Canyon Ranch so that you can implement that in your day-to-day. And we work around 5 pillars: food and nutrition, movement, exercise, mind and spirit, health and performance, and skincare and spa. Many people know us for our spa. We're world renowned for that. But also my role is to share with all of you the other pillars in which we provide for our guests. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Charlene. And last but certainly not least, Nancy Riley from Lake Austin Spa Resort.
I am unmuted. So thank you for allowing us to come in and speak with you today. It's a pleasure and an honor. A little bit about Lake Austin Spa Resort. We are a destination spa property in Austin, Texas. One thing that is authentic to this resort is we were built back in the 50s as the first KOA campground in Austin, Texas. And we've had a plethora of different hats that we've worn. We've been a place to train rodeo clowns. We've been a nudist colony. We've been a fat farm. And then we were purchased about 25 years ago by 2 fabulous gentlemen out of LSU that built it into Lake Austin Resort. So it's truly keep Austin weird. It's unique in every way, shape, and form that you could ever imagine. It's 40 rooms of luxury, but with that Texas twist, so it's not stuffy. It's very open, and the team is all happy that they get to work in such a beautiful environment. Our mantra is wellness to water because we sit on the lower Colorado River, which is also called Lake Austin. So every room has a view of the water. We have every water toy imaginable. We have a destination spa attached to us. There's 27 treatment rooms that has a $1,500 facial if that's what you're wanting. So we run the gamut of everything. One thing that I can say that we do very well for a corporate group is buyouts, being only 40 rooms. We love when corporations come in and buy us out because we could tailor their wellness path with our team and make it just this event. So I look forward to talking with you all further, and I'm good. Thanks.
Nancy, thank you. I'm never going to forget now that Lake Austin was once a place to train clowns and a nudist colony. I don't know of anyone else, but that's going to be a takeaway. So because I want you to just have a quick overview, we're going to get a little bit more into details here, but sometimes when we think about corporate, it can be very boxed in. And then when we think corporate and wellness, we're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. So I want to give you some categories just to look at and note, and we're going to go into detail for each of these. But think outside of the meeting room, right? You're going to have traditional corporate, right? Where they need to get together, they need to have an annual meeting, a quarterly strategy session, whatever that is. That's something that can be done with wellness in mind. There's leadership organizations, chapter events, physicians that come in groups, incentive groups, like Kenya was mentioning, client experiences, and strategic leadership teams. Now, I would love for Roma to kick us off and tell us a little bit about a traditional corporate experience that a group that she's had at Rancho La Puerta.
Yeah, thanks. I love how you categorized all these types of corporate groups. I think over the years, and I've been at the ranch for about 18 years, we've had all of these types of groups. I'll speak to the traditional one. We had a very large Silicon Valley organization come to the ranch, and what they wanted was structured time in a room, in a conference room, and they wanted some very structured amenities and services offered to them. Because budget was not an issue for them, we were able to personalize and customize as much as they really wanted. But for them, it was important that they had conference room time, which is what I think made them traditional more than any of the other organizations and groups that we've hosted. And I think one has to respect that, of course, because that's what they're coming for. But I think there's also an opportunity to lean in and suggest that maybe not all 6 hours of your day is spent in a traditional conference room, because you could do that anywhere, in any city or in any hotel, and that by being at a wellness resort, like many of our properties are, all of our properties are, maybe there's a balance that you can have, where you can have a walking meeting, or you can be outside and break up your meetings so that you're not in the room for such long concentrated periods of time. Or maybe you can structure your agenda or your schedule of the day by bringing in one of our experts who can do a quick breathing a quick breathing exercise, so it revitalizes and re-energizes the group that's sitting in the conference room. So traditional corporate groups are always welcome, and I think it's an opportunity for the property, along with the advisor, to really suggest some unique ways in which they can get more out of what we have to offer.
Roma, thank you. I love that, and I'm so grateful. Charlene, we had talked about some really interesting ways, kind of piggybacking on what Roma had said, of what you bring to your corporate groups when they're looking for something and you say, well, you could do it this way, but can you talk
Yeah,
about?
it's providing, I think in the corporate world, we say, it's been pretty conventional and traditional in the way they host their meetings. And certainly, they have the content on why they're having the meeting. And like Roma was saying, you could provide that content on what is going on within your company right now, and in fact is the reason why you're having the meeting. But if you want to have a hybrid of content, what else is it that you want to discuss, that you want your attendees to take away with them and maintain? And that's when we have our experts, come in, and no two programs look alike at Canyon Ranch. They're all very much customized to what's required or what is going on with that particular group at the time. So for example, it could be, we have some programs right now that are booked in New England in January, but they like the idea of the clean slate start of the year. It's an all women's group. How do we implement self-care? Because we're all so busy and we always have the best intentions, but we don't do it. So how do we actually do it? So that could be something that we incorporate into your already created meeting on what it is that you want to discuss, and we just infuse it in there. And then in the meantime, they're eating healthy food. They're moving more than they ever had. Perhaps they're getting, maybe outdoor in nature, regardless of what the weather is. So it creates a completely different experience. And I always say at Canyon Ranch, what we try to do with corporate meetings is educate, and education about themselves, but then also about their team, so they become a little bit more cohesive when they return back to their day-to-day. And then also the experience, just creating something unique that's different, that they're going to remember, that they're going to appreciate, and they're going to value you as a person that's accommodating that meeting or for that company, and helping retaining some of the top talent that you have within your organization. And then also the environment. We've all been in boardrooms around the world, they all pretty much look the same. So how can you get your team to be more creative, and have more clarity around the topics that you're discussing? And by having it in a unique destination is one way that you could do that.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Charlene. And what a perfect segue as we talk about the boardroom and the basicness of it, right? And we said that there's nothing basic about wellness, right? Just like there's nothing basic about what all of you do as travel advisors. You're designers and curators. And that's what wellness travel can help you to do for even that corporate environment. Now, I mentioned strategic leadership teams here, and there's a really unique scenario, a unique group that Nancy had at Lake Austin that I'm obsessed with. So I really would love for her to tell the story about this group and what they did in order to help them be better.
I love that you love this group. I mean, they were amazing. So we had 20 oil and gas executives from around the world come into Lake Austin, and they all brought their personal assistants with them. And when they showed up, they were dressed to the nines in their, coat and tie and looking dapper. And then we're hanging out in board shorts and, running a dock and having boats go this way and that way. And, we took odds that by day 2, they would ditch the tie. By day 3, they'd be shopping in the gift shop and buying everything manly that they could get their hands on so they could go get out in the water. And sure enough, that happened. I mean, they were stiff as a board at first, and then suddenly they kind of got in the groove of where they were. Their assistants had absolutely no problem getting into the groove. They were all ready and willing and able. But the gentlemen in the group, they were from all over the world, and we had just a plethora of different things. So they were in the treehouse living room for their meeting, and they were set up in a boardroom style, and then we had soft seating in the back for the assistants because they all kept copious notes of everything their boss had to say. And so the assistants came up with the idea that we need to train them how to listen, because, you know, CEOs and executives in that capacity, sometimes they know everything and the assistant knows nothing. So we went to our activities team and said, create something that forces them to listen. So Cindy Present, who at that point ran our activities team, she's amazing. She came up with an amazing race in the lake, and she divided them into teams. And so the assistant was not with their boss. Everybody was on a different team. They didn't know each other going into this very well. And she gave them very exact directions on what to do. I mean, she could not have been more exact in what she said. And the assistants, of course, they heard everything and they took it all in, and they were like, you know, we're going to do well. We're going to win this. Well, there was one gentleman from, I believe he was either Swedish or Norwegian, and he was not performing well because he didn't listen. And he had what could be categorized as an out of body. He went insane, just screamed at everybody on his team, acted like a total jerk, and lost the race miserably. I mean, his group lost miserably. They wouldn't even finish that. So everyone came back in. He did the decompress. So we had everybody laying on the beach with a cool beer, a glass of wine or champagne in their hands, and she's decompressing. And this gentleman, I have to give him props, stood up and said, I lost this for my team because I didn't listen, which was amazing that he would do it. But he also understood the point of the exercise, that you had to open your mind, and just because he's the big man doesn't mean he knew everything. So the assistants at the end were so thrilled that we had broken that barrier for them. There was no other way they felt like they could get through. So it was amazing. I took videos of all of it. I sent everybody in the entire group the video clips, and they were just astounded at the way some people behaved, and others that listened were like, no, if you do it this way, if you do it this way, we'll win. And, you know, they would get smacked down like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. So it was very entertaining, and it was humbling to see that the one gentleman that was truly the worst of the worst he owned it. So that was just one of the better moments that I've had at the property, because it showed how our team could pull it together for somebody to get them to understand what it's all about.
Thank you, Nancy. I mean, think about that kind of creativity, right? And how changed that group was because of it. Kenya, I know that Palmaya is big on incentive groups. So to clarify, most of the time incentive groups come and are rewarded for salespeople, top salespeople of the year, and they gain these trips. One thing, as we've again moved out of the boardroom, put in cozy furniture into different places, when you go to Palmaya, there is no boardroom.
There is no boardroom, you're right. We do not have those facilities, but we do have plenty of facilities where people can come, do at the morning sunrise pranayama, and make a meditation in our ocean tents that we have a deck with a full ocean view. We have closed space where the entire group can have sound baths or meditative concerts. We have other decks that are in the middle of the jungle, of the Mayan jungle, with these vibrations, this huge, massive energy that we have in the area, where we can also host women's circle. If this is a retreat of women, we have this activity where we enhance to build these strengths that sometimes as women we do not have, right? Even in this corporate business. But with that women's circle that we provide, we allow them to be themselves and to also recognize the person that have in front of them as an equal, and by the end of the activity as a team, because you are all I'm sorry, you are all going to the same way. Yes, we do also have rituals. Since we are an holistic resort, we have these rituals, nothing out of the common, but we also provide gratitude rituals and forgiveness ceremonies too. And what is the result of this? For example, the gratitude ritual, to realize where are you stepping in, what do you already have, what you have had, and to be grateful for it, because every experience that we have had in all over our lives, it has come in a result of who we are right now. But sometimes we don't realize that, right? Therefore, that ritual help us to see what we can, to what we have, and how much we have worked, how hard we have worked for that. And yes, so that's how we pamper our incentive groups, by connecting. I say that we're connecting a lot because it's what we do. It's what we do to connect with their reality and with what's going on with them and with the world. So yes, this is a totally different resort from what I see. We do not have precisely those team building activities, because the ambience of the resort is so chilling, tranquil. But we do enhance the other holistic activities too.
Thank you so much, Kenny. And I want you to think about that. Think about the power and the impact of gratitude with your colleagues, and also forgiveness. I thought that was so special and so unique. Now, when I'm not here speaking to all of you, I work as a mindset coach, and I had a team training that I was doing, a team coaching group yesterday. And this corporate group, we talked about their burdens and what they're carrying on their shoulders and what they needed empathy for, and how each of their colleagues could give them that empathy. Those are the kind of things you don't forget. It's the kind of things that connects you. And as Charlene had mentioned earlier, you retain staff, employees, leaders when you create this bond and these memories. Now, one last thing that I did want to bring, because I just thought it was so interesting, is client experiences. So, Roma, can you speak a little bit about the groups that you've had that have brought their clients to Rancho La Puerta?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We we've had all kinds of small business owners that are trying to build loyalty, or that already have a loyal base built into their business, bring their clients with them. I'm actually thinking of a day spa owner in particular, and she's this phenomenal lady that they just love her, so they follow her wherever she goes. And when she's here at the ranch, she actually prefers to let them be as much as possible. And so she has very informal gatherings with them, and she weaves in meal times with them and informal gatherings. And they more or less are like regular guests, in the sense that they don't have very specific requirements as a group. They're not like the traditional corporate group or a leadership organization that needs sort of that structure and that time in a room or in a space, or time together for team bonding or what have you. She's much more organic about her retreat and her time with her clients. We've had others that set up private time with their clients when they're here with them, and they do that on their own. It's time that they just, the client and the owner or whoever it is that they're connecting with, they just do that on their own while they're on property, and we're fine with that happening. So.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Roma. So really think about that.
I have one more thing. I think that the reason why client experiences actually work well is because if you're the type of owner that is already speaking to your clients about health and wellness, in this particular case as a day spa owner, you're already talking to them about skincare and health and how your digestion, and because all of that is connected anyway to your skin and your hair and your nails and all of that stuff. I think it's actually a very natural extension to bring them to some of our properties, because there you can immerse them in the whole concept of wellness and take it further than just treating them in your spa with the outside part of their well-being, with the external part of their well-being.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. And absolutely. And in addition, imagine the creativity that you can give your corporate client by telling them, think about what you can do for your clients this year. As you're preparing your 2024 plans, throw away the gifts, right? They don't need another magnet. They don't need a chip clip with your logo. Let's save your money, let's pool it, and let's think about the ways to best care for them. Take them on an experience, take them to immerse them in their well-being. Get a client for life. So as we move forward, I want you to take a quick look, because we're going to talk about trends and what's happening on a larger scale. So business travel has been starting to add wellness into their RFPs as they're pricing hotels and air and car at each season. It's becoming more and more of a priority. They are looking at this space. What amenities are you offering? But it doesn't stop there, right? So you're finding from Meeting Planners International to Skift to Smart Meetings and then some, that wellness is a trend in meetings, events, and groups. One of the key things that's happening is Meeting Planners International, MPI, has something called Wellness Design, and that is a course to get certified in this, right? So Charlene, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about Smart Monday at IMAX.
Thank you. Yes, it was really great to participate. Canyon Ranch participated in Smart Monday, which MPI has an academic component to it. Again, getting back to that education. And we had one of our physicians speak as a keynote on that day. And it was basically how to optimize your health overall. Most of the people that are in that room are traveling significantly. They're on the road most of their days. And what is it that they could implement and that they could do at home on a daily basis that could improve not only their health, but their performance? And so we attended Smart Monday, which was great. I've been to IMAX many times in my career, but from a completely different perspective, with an exhibit booth, kind of talking to planners as they're walking around. So this was really special to have people, listening to one of our physicians. And then in the workshops that day, we had our chef speaking. Our chef works so closely in designing and preparing foods that are very intentional. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and breaks the importance of breaks was his topic from a well-being standpoint, from a nutritional standpoint. How do you get how could you be fueled, get the most energy throughout the day by what you're eating? So many times I think we're planning meetings and we're overlooking the breaks, and you look at these afternoon breaks that are just loaded with sugar. There is no protein, there is no fiber. Where are the healthy fat options? Coffee running all day long, not a lot of options in terms of hydration. So he was just kind of explaining the importance of that and the benefit to that for the attendees. They're going for 4 or 5 days on these events. So being able to provide them with the best fuel, and creating it and designing it architecturally in a way that it's not a big plate of tofu that's out there. That's going to turn attendees off, that's going to intimidate them. So providing it in a way and presenting it in a way that they're making the proper selections so that they could retain whatever it is that the meeting is about throughout their stay. So to be able to have that audience of event designers and at IMEX creating these workshops and breakouts, and the largest space that they've ever had specifically dedicated to well-being and wellness. It was just so great to see that in our industry, and it's expanding. MPI does offer for members and non-members a course. You gain a certificate, it's not a certification. It's a self-paced module that you take about designing meetings with wellness at hand. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. It's certainly a great start in our industry. And how do we expand on that so it doesn't become something intimidating, or something that is in a committee or something in words, but these CEOs are being more accountable. I could see in my 2.5 years with Canyon Ranch, the traction is improving, where they're now implementing and executing versus having something on paper or having a committee, but not necessarily investing. So I am seeing a shift in that. And I think organizations like IMEX and MPI in the corporate sector are contributing to that.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much. And speaking of food, sometimes we show up and we think we want one thing, like traveling to Texas and going out for steak. Nancy, can you talk a little bit about how your relaxation group surprised you?
Yes, we had an amazing Silicon Valley group that came in, tech company, and they were super comfortable in every way, shape, and form because they were all, in my opinion, 12 years old because they're young and hip and they know what's going on in the world. And they were so happy to be meeting in our living room and laying on our couches and, having a meeting, a think tank meeting where there was, no PowerPoint presentation. It was all very relaxed, and we would bring in meditation mid-afternoon, and they would go for a stroll on the lake for a breakout session. And we said, I didn't tell you this yesterday, but we set Adirondack chairs out on the beach, and we did them in clusters of 5 with little cafe tables, and that was where they had their breakout sessions. So when they wanted to break and go, so it immersed them back into the water, which is our mantra. And they said they came away from that meeting with this was the best meeting we've ever had as far as just disconnecting to reconnect, because we invite people to leave their cell phones in their rooms and totally unplug, because that's kind of the way it should operate. But this particular group, there's a steakhouse up this street from Lake Austin Spa Resort that is well known, and it's amazing, and it was all men, and they just knew they were going to go get their big cowboy steak and have this huge dinner. And I kept saying, well, you're kind of already paying for dinner here, but if you want to go off site, that's fine, we'll arrange it. Well, about 4 o'clock that afternoon, the head of the company came to me and said, I don't think we want to go to the steakhouse anymore. I think we want to go sit on the dock, which was my preference. Go have a dock talk. Take all you guys, go sit on the dock with a cooler of beer and a bottle of wine, some champagne, and just chill your feet. So he said, we want to do that now, but we want to do it with pizza, Well, as you can imagine, we don't necessarily have pizza for 20 people just laying around. So I went to Chef Stefan and I said, Stefan, we got to make some burger pizza and deliver it down there to them. And by 7 o'clock that night, they were all sitting around the dock. Some people were laying on floating lotus out in the lake and holding on to the dock. I mean, it was just an amazing event. They had fabulous pizza that chef created, pulling stuff out of the garden and made all the, I mean, it was just perfect. So when they went to check out the next day, every one of them were hugging and saying, this was by far the best we've ever had, because we were so unplugged and so engaged with each other that we didn't want to not be around each other. We didn't want to be in a restaurant that was crowded and noisy. We wanted to sit around and just enjoy each other's company. So that was a big win for us. It was an amazing event.
Thank you so much. I love that. And ask the question, right? Ask the question when it comes to alcohol preferences. There are properties that within wellness that don't have it, properties that do. These are questions to ask, right? And make sure that you're ahead of that. But think about the creativity that's there, that you can still nourish your body in some of the most beautiful and delicious ways, and they're going to leave feeling lighter and brighter and have more innovation than before. So let's talk about how you sell this, right? We've talked about a few things here. You know, we've said it can help you to attract top talent, because people that hear that you're doing this for your teams, hear that you're taking your clients to these places, hear that you're doing leadership meetings, strategy meetings, having your CEOs and your EAs go somewhere, incentive trips, all of that, that's an amazing asset. I want to work for the company that does that. Who doesn't want to work for the company that does that? And then it's really showing the people on your team that you care. It costs 31% of a person's salary to replace them. That's how much turnover costs. So you are constantly paying if you're not retaining. And you can retain by showing that you care, and you care by supporting someone's overall wellness. Now, I want to have each of you, we'll go around, but I would love for you to tell me or tell us some of the things that you talk to your clients about that you have seen that are really the selling points of having a group at an immersive wellness resort. And then also, I want you to share one or two of the perks that you offer, because some of the things that I've mentioned on our calls before is that, you know, a traditional group at a hotel is usually 10 rooms or more, but it is not that way in immersive wellness resorts. So Roma, can we start with you?
What did you say? What do we use to sell the ranch to these clients? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like what are you telling them? What is it that, why would they come to you instead of ABC big box hotel down the block?
Right. Well, I mean, having a sort of an 83-year tradition of being, you know, one of the best wellness resorts certainly helps from that point of view. But basically what we talk a lot about is the immersive experience in nature. And, you know, we have 11 gyms, 4 swimming pools, 3 spa centers, 40 miles of hiking trails. We have all the amenities. It's such a vast, expansive property that includes so much. So that is always a great selling point, because I think from an advisor's point of view, it's much easier to say, once you're there, it's all inclusive. Once you're there, everything is taken care of. Yes, you can add the extra, you know, here and there. And even in those cases, those are all planned for ahead of time, so you don't, as the person enjoying the retreat, doesn't have to think about any of it. The other things that we talk about is healthy eating, and because we have our own organic farm and our own cooking school, we try to do a lot around that and team building events around cooking and bonding around food and nutrition and healthy eating. So I would say that's one of our ways of saying, you know, come and be in this beautiful scenic environment and work together with these people. There's something very unique that happens when you're preparing a meal together. The stress comes down, but also there's an opportunity to get to know each other literally across the kitchen table from you, if you so will. And I think this goes not just for corporate wellness, but for just leisure travel or leisure wellness as well, is really for us. Once you're here with us, we're taking care of you in every way that we can, so that our job is to make sure that you have the ability to press that reset button, or to take that pause, or to come away with the extra ideas and thoughts and planning that you need if it's a corporate retreat, so that when you go back into work life or your family life or back into society, because we also recommend limited Wi-Fi usage and so on and so forth, that you can be the very best. You have tapped into your highest potential. And I think from a corporate standpoint, that sings well, that sits well, because as performers, and here we all are in our own careers as well, you know, we want to be our very best every day. So when a company, an organization takes that time to invest in their own employees, whether it's through individual incentive programs, sales rewards, or whether it's through groups and retreats, you are really giving back thousandfold to that employee, to that staff member, to that CEO, because they're going to come back and give you more in return. So, you know, those are just the kinds of different ways that we think about corporate wellness. But workplace wellness, as you mentioned, you know, before, it's a $51 billion industry. Granted, it's probably one of the smallest of the wellness sectors, but it makes so much business sense to keep your leaders, your staff, your employees healthy mentally and physically and emotionally, because it not only does it end up costing you less, but you get better efficiency, better creativity, better results, and ultimately happier people, which is what we're all in this business for, is to make healthier, happier people, I think.
100%. And Roma, tell us, how many rooms is a group at Rancho La Puerta?
So we don't do it by rooms at the ranch, because it's on a per person basis. So for us, we need 8 to qualify as a group.
Beautiful. Thank you. Kenya, I would love for you then to tell us what are those key selling points you use and some of the perks
Yes.
for groups.
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually, and my favorite key selling point is that we are a #1 resort of all-inclusive hotels in Riviera Maya by TripAdvisor. Also, the second key selling point that I love to share is that at least 20% of our regular guests are repetitive guests, because once that they arrive to Palmaya, they leave fascinated. But that's a warranty for me to share with the travel consultants, that they are going to be sure that at the moment their clients arrive to the property, they are going to leave yes or yes with a massive experience in full in their souls. Also, our plant-based gastronomy. We used to work as a plant-based resort. However, we have understand during the years that not everybody is plant-based, and most of us need protein options too. However, during this journey, we have discovered other options to provide a plant-based gastronomy. And our chef, our executive chef, is a mastermind. He has made this chemistry test that we have now vegan tacos. So we have our food trucks of Mexican vegan tacos. And I am Mexican, and I can tell that those tacos taste like Mexican tacos. Yes, they are very good. You have to come and try them. For example, also we provide, instead of chicken, we provide cauliflower with species, right? The other time I taste at the resort, instead of tuna, they put me watermelon, but it was a spiced watermelon. Yes, so those type of things, it's one of our main key selling points that we have, that we get to provide to these guests that are looking for a plant-based gastronomy, a vast option, not just salad, not just the typical food that we think about vegetarian people, right? No, we have a plenty menu for them to choose. Also, as you mentioned in the past, we are a property that enhance the well-being in the nourishing, right? Therefore, if a client asks for a cocktail, we are going to provide them a mocktail. The client has to request in advance that that cocktail needs to have alcohol, because we do not encourage that, right? We have had experiences with other guests in the past because of the ambience of the resort. They might think this is quite Tulum vibe. It is, but it's not. It is because we provide all these vast activities that we offer to the retreat leaders. But it is not, because we do take care of those small aspects of such as party life or nightlife, right? We do not have that nightlife. We keep the ambience in our property. That's something for me very important to say. For retreats, we offer a daily retreat experience. We have built part of our program is that on a daily basis, we already have activities for the group to come and choose those activities and say, my group is going to take this morning yoga, then full body workout, then meditation in the ocean, then watercolor painting. We already have those. Therefore, the travel consultant or the retreat leader gets to, or the corporate leader gets to choose which activities they are going to have. We're going to provide those. We consider a group from 6 rooms and above for us to provide a group rate. And we also provide complimentary rooms per every 10 rooms paid. We provide 1 complimentary room, and this is up to 2 rooms. And we also provide a complimentary upgrade for every 10 rooms paid too. Also, for the groups, we can provide also private sessions. The sessions that I am mentioning on a regular basis, those are not exactly private, but we do provide private sessions as complimentary too for the group. And they can choose on those activities for them to have their own gratitude ritual, as I was mentioning, or cacao ceremony, right? They get to choose in those. It depends also on the size of the group, because we have some activities that are very intimate. For example, talk to the shaman. We have to keep it for up to 12 people because it's a very intimate circle, right? But I believe that that's the only activity that might have limited space.
Amazing. And
yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to make you mindful of our time. That was so beautiful. I appreciate it. Nancy, can you tell me some of the selling points and corporate perks? Nancy, did you hear me?
You went, I didn't hear you. The whole thing just kind of froze on me. So I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm a little late on that one. So perks when you book a small group with Lake Austin. So our group is 8 rooms or more, and it can be single or double occupancy. And we additionally price the same way as Roma does. It's a price per person per night. It's not per room. We are all inclusive in that it's accommodations, your food and beverage daily. Every day at the property, there's 20 different activities that take place that you can partake in. And then we also have a plethora of group activities that you can do at an additional cost. We do cruises on our pontoon boats, or generally where we do our welcome receptions, which is a great way to immerse people into the property. If you've got a VIP that wants to come up to the property via water taxi, we can pick them up downtown and bring them to the resort via water taxi, which is, there's no place like it in North America that does this. And I think you've done it, Jackie, didn't you? Yeah. So, you know, it's just truly the way to arrive at a property. So if the rest of the group is already there and they're waiting on the dock, and then in comes the CEO or the president of the company, and he's greeted with strawberries on the dock, that's the way to launch your meeting. And we can do that complimentary for one VIP, so that, and no one else does that. We customize our food and beverage, so depending on everyone's dietary needs. I mentioned Chef Stefan before, but he is amazing, and he's a French chef with a Texas twist that he's just fabulous. I mean, he's an adorable man. He's I just think the world of him. But we can come to him and tell him who has what allergy, what celiac. We give them a picture of their face, so when the servers bring them their food, we make sure that everyone gets what really pertains to what their dietary restrictions are, which it's hard. And I'm not saying there's not sometimes little hiccups, but it is an amazing service that we can provide that direction. And I guess that's kind of the biggest thing that we do that I think sets us apart. I mean, we all have this, you know, 5-star, 5-diamond, amazing service, amazing resorts around the world, and we all have a lot to be proud of. So I will end with, and I don't know if it's because we're running out of time, but I wanted to talk about one activity that we do offer that you can do it as a class or you can do it as an individual. We had a small YPO women's group that came to Lake Austin, and they had done meditation, they had done yoga, and they'd done hikes, and they wanted to get out of their comfort zone. And so we suggested they do Bokendo, which is Japanese swords. And at first, the 6 of them looked at us like we were insane. And I am not coordinated in the least, so I cannot do this, and neither were they. But they were so comfortable and giggling at the end of it. It was probably their favorite activity that they did, but it took them out of their comfort zone and gave them a reason to just all laugh and come together as a group. So it's kind of the way Lake Austin is. We kind of force you into situations that you're not sure of. Not force, but we encourage you to be in situations you're not sure of, and then at the end you're like, yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Amazing. Thank you, Nancy. And you're so right. It's the growth of wellness. Charlene, when you're talking to a corporate client, tell me, how are you saying, why Canyon Ranch? Like, why would you come here instead of other traditional spaces?
Yeah, I found when I first started with Canyon Ranch, I was really surprised at kind of what Nancy was talking about with her CEO who wasn't listening. And, you know, I think what was coming out of him was fear, right? Like, he's in front of his staff, he wasn't listening, he wasn't performing to his best ability. And a lot of what was coming back to me from senior level executives was, we don't do anything woo-woo, we don't like hippy dippy. It was this whole misperception of what wellness is. And, you know, they like metrics. They want to know, you know, they're very results oriented. They want to know the metrics. So what I typically try to share with them is, you know, you want your employees to feel, or your attendees to feel engaged. You know, how to improve the engagement within your staff? How do you get your team to flourish? You know, and so those kinds of questions are kind of the discussions that I have with senior leaders, but then also assuring them, because we are an all-inclusive and we have a lot of what these wonderful properties offer, but I really want to instill in them the amount of science that we have at Canyon Ranch. So even our coaches, they're all have their masters. The majority of our experts have PhDs. You know, we certainly have our MDs, our physicians. that if you wanted to get really specific in kind of like a discussion or a session, if it's an all women's group, you know, menopause in the workplace, being very scientific, being very specific. How to boost brain health is a breakout that we had offered for another group that was in, you know, being proactive. The importance of sleep. And then because everything is customized, challenging you to change kind of the timing of your program. You know, how many times have we traveled across the country? We have jet lag. Our meeting starts at 7:30 a.m. and we end, you know, our meeting at 6 and then go, and we're coming back to our room at midnight to then get an amenity of a pile of beautiful, but a pile of sugar, which is not helping you sleep, not good for you in any way. And we're all guilty of having submitted to having that amenity in our guest room. So I think it's really getting back to that educational component and letting that board member, that the decision maker, the CEO, you know, feel comfortable in the money that he's investing is going to come back to him, and then looking at the metrics and how it does in fact. And you know, it's not necessarily just that one meeting, but it's implementing this in a culture, a corporate culture that emphasizes this.
Thank you. I just thought that was a perfect way to wrap up. And everyone, I know that we are 1 minute over. I apologize that we took more of your time, but hopefully from days that I've let you go sooner, you can allow some grace. Alana, do we have any questions?
Not receive any questions as of yet, but for anyone attending, if you have any questions, please feel free to use your GoToWebinar pane. And near the bottom of the pane you'll see an option to submit your question, and then once you submit your question, we can go over it.
And as Alana's told you in the past, if there are additional ones, go to the team at ASTA. They'll bring them to the team at Wellness Travel University, and we'll be able to assist you. I am so grateful to all of you for being here and bringing your brilliance. For all of the travel advisors listening, give your corporate clients a chance to really create something special and unforgettable for their employees, their clients, themselves, and create new change in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everyone. And as I mentioned, this webinar was being recorded. If you would like to listen to this presentation again, it will be available to ASTA members on asta.org in 3 to 5 business days. Thank you to Jackie, Roma, Charlene, Kenya, Nancy, and all of you who have joined us for today's webinar. This will conclude today's presentation, and we hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.